What's been so challenging about the year in a nutshell, and is that challenge going to remain a challenge in 2018?
I think the question is what has not been challenging in 2017. We're very happy with the performance in 2017. We've seen very good growth on our top line. We've seen very good resilience on the rest of our matrices. 2017 has been a year of volatility, as we know. And I think one of the most important things that 7 of the markets we operated in have actually witnessed devaluation, especially the very sharp devaluation, impact of the very sharp devaluation in Egypt. At constant rate, we would have grown around 14% top line and 8% bottom line. So in reality, when we look at the performance in markets, local currencies, we're actually doing very well, but we had to take in the impact of the devaluations.
What kind of growth do you expect for the next year or two? Are you making adjustments to your forecasts a little bit because of the challenges that do exist in the regions that you operate in?
Well, we don't give forward guidance, but what I can tell you is that I think 2018 is going to be a good year. We have seen in the region a lot of structural changes that have been put in place by basically big markets, Egypt, Saudi Arabia. A lot of the structural reforms have been activated, which is very good news. And we think that this is going to have a good impact on business performance. In addition to that, you know that we have witnessed in 2017 the instability in the region, being it in Iraq or elsewhere. So all of these things we expect they will be behind us, and they will allow us to actually plan 2018 differently.
You've got a great finger on the pulse for consumer confidence and consumer spending powers and general trends.
Yes.
How much damage was done with the introduction of VAT, and where do you see consumer confidence, consumer spending go from here in Dubai, for example, and in Saudi Arabia as well?
I wouldn't say that we have seen damage on consumer confidence and spending because of VAT so far. I think we managed VAT quite well, and we have had a very well thought pricing strategy. So we have taken in as much as possible of the impact of the VAT, and that has actually had a very good impact on our sales.
So talk to me about some of your expansion ideas for the next few months and the next few years, maybe perhaps as well. Any new markets that you're considering?
So we continue to grow in the region, and that's very important for us. There are a lot of opportunities that lie ahead of us in the region. As you know, on the shopping mall side, we continue to develop in Saudi Arabia, in Oman, in the UAE, being it in Dubai or other Emirates, in Abu Dhabi, in Ras Al Khaimah and in Sharjah, as well as in Egypt. So our retail business with our Carrefour brand continues to expand in the region. Vox Cinemas has a fantastic year ahead with the opening up of the Saudi market to cinemas and so on and so forth. So we're very excited about what lies ahead, and we're ready for it.
You also have quite a bit of financial muscle, and in the past you have not shied away from investing and making a few acquisitions. Is there anything on your radar at the moment? I know you're always opportunistic and considering options as they come, but is there a little bit more detail that you can
Everything is in our radar.
Everything, always, all the time.
So we did in 2017 the acquisition of Retail Arabia. We did an acquisition in Bahrain on the cinema front as well as in Oman. We continue to look at other opportunities as they arise in the market, and we'll announce them when they come.
Would you say you're going to be more aggressive in acquisitions?
I would say that we will be, as we have been in 2017, very active.
Along the same lines then.
Yeah.
In terms of some of the risks that exist, because we just heard the speech, the State of the Union from President Donald Trump, he didn't mention a stronger or weaker dollar.
Yeah.
I mean, what does that do to your business and your bottom line, ultimately being fed through with the peg? Do you prefer the weakening that we're seeing? Probably not, because it reduces consumer spending power.
I mean, we have seen the impact of the dollar in the past years. I think the region has taken a number of things into account, and now there is a kind of a comeback, I would say, to a certain extent with commodities prices. I think President Trump has been delivering, both in Davos and the State of the Union, a different kind of speech that we haven't been used to, that is less dramatic, I would say, and there is track record that is starting to materialize.
In terms of financing, any plans to issue any further bonds?
Always.
Always. Could you give us a little bit more
depending
hints?
on market conditions, and we'll be opportunistic. But
Would
we're
that
ready.
change from last year in any way?
No.
Okay. In terms of other events or risks that are on your radar for the remainder of the year, what would you say are you a little bit worried about? Is it the geopolitics flaring up even further?
Well, the geopolitics, of course, I think we've seen that in 2017.
Right. You've got the ongoing Iran-Saudi rhetoric, and then you've got the Gulf crisis. It's been a tough year for geopolitics. We've got missiles flying over Riyadh.
Yes, I mean, look, I would say two things. One, the geopolitics have been in the region quite, I would say, unexpected from time to time. We know how to deal with volatility, so there's nothing new here. The GCC crisis is not something that was expected. Yes, it's true, but actually we're dealing with it. We've taken it in, and it's reflected, and we're dealing with it. I think what's important is to make and where we are also optimistic is, I think the very important structural reforms that are happening in Saudi Arabia are coming together and we're starting to see a very good result there. We hope this will continue. Egypt is a very important market.
I was just going to ask, what's the highlight outside of the Gulf for you?
Well, you know, this year Egypt, we're going to have the presidential election in Egypt. A lot of reforms happened, so Egypt is back on the right track, and we just hope that things will continue in the right direction.
Any more appetite to push further into Africa, or you're leaving it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we are in Kenya, and we have plans to push in neighboring countries. Yeah. So East Africa is an important territory for us to continue to push in, and we're doing that.